Me, 44, and my wife Me, 43, have a biological son Ethan, 16, and an adopted son Aiden and daughter Gracie, 16, 12. We adopted Aiden and Gracie 10 years ago. We have been talking about colleges for a while with the boys, and they both want to stay together wherever they go. We have college funds for all 3 children with the same amount in, so they will be able to afford to go if they decide to. My mother died and left me a lot of money, and I used it to fund their accounts, as I thought this was more important than paying off our mortgage that we are comfortably paying each month. The more the boys talk about college, the more Me gets upset with how much money it's going to cost. This all ended up in a huge argument between us, with her calling me an idiot. She apparently is happy to fund Ethan's college, but only part for Aiden and Gracie. I told her this isn't fair, as they are all our kids, not just Ethan. He doesn't mean more just because he has our DNA. I told her it was my inheritance and I can do what I want with it, and I wanted to make sure the kids had a good start to life. She said that she deserves stuff too, and me spending all the money on the kids means she doesn't get what she wants. She left a few days ago and I haven't heard anything from her. I thought kids didn't hear the fight, but today Aiden came down and said sorry for causing a fight between us, and that he is grateful that I stood up for him and Gracie. My heart went out for him, and I said that I will always stand up for him and that I loved him and Gracie. He said, I know, but I'm not sure about Mom. So am I the idiot? Should I compromise a bit to keep Me happy? Not the idiot. Make sure the money is in funds that are tied directly to each child and that your wife doesn't have access. You may even want to talk to a lawyer about how to make sure the money is not touchable in a divorce settlement if it comes to that. I do not trust someone who could think and speak that way about children they have been raising for a decade. I was adopted and used to hear little comments all the time. We sometimes already feel like a burden, but rhetoric usually confirms it. Just know Aiden will never forget those words your wife said. His heart and mindset changed the moment he heard that. It should come as no surprise if he pulls back from your wife, and he may even pull back from Ethan too. I feel Aiden and Grace and hope they'll be able to obtain full ride scholarships. Is she's upset you're contributing to your adoptive kids and is saying you should do less so she can have more money? Or that all the kids should have less money so she can have some? Either way, she's the idiot. And then she just up and left for days? Yeah, not the idiot, and perhaps reconsider whether you want to be with a partner that throws a fit then leaves for days when she doesn't get what she wants at the expense of her kids. Update. The adoption was her idea, as it was her cousin and his wife that were losing custody of the kids. Sadly, they are no longer with us and haven't contributed to their upbringing at all. I work full-time and pay all the mortgage and bills. She works part-time just for something to do. She keeps her money. This was agreed and is not an issue. I have explained in another comment this situation. The house is in my name as I inherited it from my grandfather. I took out a mortgage to remodel when we adopted the kids. All 3 kids are in therapy. Ethan doesn't necessarily need it, but he felt he was missing out on something, so he goes too. They have group and separate therapy, which was recommended to us. Me left a few days ago. She is safe with her sister but has not contacted us in any way. I hope she would at least contact the kids, but no. I don't think I can be with her anymore, as I can't see how she can repair the relationship with the kids. I think her coming back now will be detrimental to their well-being, and it's something I can't risk. In no way will I abandon Me though. I love her with all my heart, and if there is something going on that I don't know about, then she needs help, and her family abandoning her is going to cause more harm than good. I am willing to support her but not be a couple at the moment. If it's just that she is greedy and selfish, then she can forget about having any kind of relationship with me. I guess I will find out in the next few months. Also, I don't think of Ethan as my biological son and Aiden and Gracie as my adopted children. They are all my kids. Biological and adopted aren't words I use day to day when describing my children. My post was worded this way to make it easier for people to understand. I thought this would have been obvious, but according to the messages I have been getting, apparently not. Thank you for all your comments. I knew I was in the right, but sometimes you just need a stranger to say it and point out some things that you have missed. I, 50, have a daughter, 19, who used to live with her mom, 50, but she now goes to uni in the north. This situation happened back in May, but my daughter recently completely cut contact with me for it, and I need to know if I'm wrong. My daughter and I had a lot of issues with our relationship after the divorce was finalized, and it was always painful because all I've ever wanted to was be the best dad I could to her. Despite our issues, she made a step of good faith and invited both me and my new wife to her graduation brunch and graduation. My daughter has always been such a go-getter, and planned the entire brunch herself. Her mother and I were supposed to split the cost, but I could not afford it, so her mother paid for the brunch in full. When my wife and I arrived to brunch, it was better than we could have imagined. She had the place decorated to the T. When I got there, she gave me a huge bear hug and asked if we could talk. She let me know that it slipped her mind to grab everyone's tickets for the graduation because she needed to set up brunch, and said someone would contact me and would get them to me so that we could get in. After we all enjoy the brunch, my wife and I go home to wait for the graduation. As we are waiting, no one reaches out to us. My ex-wife and I are on bad terms, so I have her number blocked. Around 20 minutes before the graduation is to begin, my other daughter, 21, calls and asks if I am there to get the tickets from her. I am taken aback. I expected to be contacted long before the actual graduation began. I was hurt, to say the least. It felt like people didn't want me there. The graduation goes on and I couldn't even bring myself to watch it out of anger. I was so hurt that people would treat me this way. I congratulate my daughter the next day, and she asks why I didn't go. I tell her my side of the story, and she says it isn't enough of a reason to miss her big day. She has gone completely no contact since then, only reaching out to have a very fighty conversation with me, which ends in me saying she thinks I am a horrible father and her agreeing. I really need guidance to try and get my relationship with my daughter back. Am I the idiot? You're the idiot. I know it started with a mix-up, but you could have still gone. Have you been to a graduation? Unless your daughter was one of the speakers or her last name is Aardvark, you would have gotten there in plenty of time to see her walk, even if you were a little late. Instead, you turned her big event into an opportunity for you to nurse your fragile ego. Yikes. You're the idiot. You turned your daughter's big day to no one cares about me. In reality, it was quite the opposite. You got an invitation despite being on difficult past. You contributed nothing. You made no effort by your own, didn't even thought about contacting anyone but blocked X. So yeah, the very least you can do is respecting your daughter's decision of going no contact. You're the idiot. Graduation tickets won't be given that much in advance. Soon as you got the call, you should have sprinted over. They didn't forget about you, just took it this way. I have a rocky relationship with my dad, so much so that I didn't even tell him I transferred schools before graduating because I knew he would judge me. He still came and was proactive about his ticket because he wanted to be there for me. He didn't get his ticket until the day of because no one coming to support me got their ticket before then. It wasn't done maliciously. You made a mountain out of a molehill and missed an important milestone for your daughter. Do better. My 16 mom and dad got divorced when I was 11. My parents have 50-50 custody of me, but I mostly live with my mom and spend a lot of my weekends and summers at my dad's house. I have my own room at my dad's house and I am allowed to lock it when I am not there because the woman he lives with, 27, has 2 young kids and they went into my room and wrecked some of my stuff when she first moved in. My dad replaced everything, told her that my room is off limits without my permission, and got me a lock with a key that only him and I have. My dad, 47, seems happy to spend time with this woman and her kids, but he still makes time for me and makes me a priority. When he got a new TV, I got the old one and he mounted it in my room. One thing though, this woman likes to have other mommies and kids over for play dates. That's fine. Maybe her and my dad will get married and she has every right to have guests over. The problem is that sometimes she expects me to watch all the kids while her and her friends sit outside and drink wine or something. She even tried leaving them with me and going out for brunch with her friends. Not okay. My dad has told her to knock it off. He told me it might be nice if I chose to help, but that I wasn't obligated to help. So yesterday and today are days off from school, so I was over at my dad's for a long weekend. My mom was having a Halloween party and I didn't want to be around. So I'm in my room when I hear a knock. There she is with 4 kids. She wants me to entertain them while she talks to her friends. I say no, thank you. She insisted. So I said I was watching a movie. And I was called Ready or Not, and it's kind of gory. Not super gross or anything. Just not meant for little ones. But it starts out with a pretty wedding. So I open the door and let them in. And they are bored because it isn't a cartoon or a Marvel movie. But they go running when the killing starts. She comes back inside and tells at me for scaring the kids. She says she is going to take my TV away. I laughed and closed the door. She is mad and told my dad I was a disrespectful brat and that my TV should go in the kids' playroom. He said no, but he talked to me and said I could have handled it better. He isn't mad, but he's disappointed. I am glad your dad has your back. Next time dad's girlfriend asks you for watching kids and you don't want, just tell her no. If she insists, tell her no as complete sentence, can you please leave my room now? If she still insists, leave or I'll involve my father. And if necessary, call him after. It's nice that your father wants to move with his life, but new woman in his life needs to know boundaries and your father needs to put his foot down in protecting your privacy and boundaries. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. You have already rejected the request and she insisted. You have your plans and stuck with it, which is fair. You're not obligated to change your plan to watch a horror show to watching some child-friendly show just so the actual parents can all slack instead of rotating one person to care for the kids. You warned her of what's your plan were and she took it at face value and now regrets it. Not your fault, she's bad at playing with chance. To be honest, crappy of father to say he's disappointed. It should be you who's disappointed he didn't do anything to ensure his girlfriend respects you. If that lady would have asked nicely, instead of commanding. If she could have offered some remuneration instead of attempting to control. But she chose to go on the offensive and lean into the evil step-parent role with gusto. Time you have a serious talk with dad, and remind him that you are your own person, and that you will most likely stay away from him if she keeps acting the way she does. She is not your mother, and if she wants to boss you around then she should at the very least pay you to accept her commands. Not the idiot. I have a daughter, Louisa, 10, and my brother Charlie has a daughter, Sophie, 11, same school year. The girls have always been close, even though we moved abroad 3 years ago, so we have had Sophie come and stay with us during school holidays very often, and the girls keep in touch over social media. Some context to this is that my brother and I come from a middle-class family. Both of us attended private schools, regular abroad holidays as children, expensive hobbies, etc. Charlie's wife Rebecca does not come from a similar background and this has caused some awkward moments in the past, nothing malicious, just faux pas. Charlie also chose a career path which has meant that he has not been able to maintain the standard of living we grew up with, or provide that for Sophie. This has been a point of contention between him and his parents. Next September, Louisa will be going to boarding school. Before I get bashed in the comments, this was entirely her idea, not something we wanted for her. But it is where most of her friends from her junior school will be going, and they do not allow day pupils. The school is 1 hour from where we live and Louisa will be able to come home on weekends. I gather that Louisa and Sophie spoke about the idea of going to school together and got very excited. I told Louisa this is something that Charlie and Rebecca would have to decide, and then spoke to Charlie about it. I said that if it was something he wanted for Sophie, me and my husband could pay for Sophie to go, and be her point of contact during term time. Charlie was almost in tears thanking me, and said this is something he and Rebecca could only dream of for Sophie. Over the next couple of days, I spoke to our parents about this, as when I called I found out that he had already mentioned it, and they were overjoyed. Yesterday, I got a series of vitriolic messages from Rebecca, accusing me of trying to steal and adopt her daughter. She accused me and our whole family of using money to manipulate her daughter into hating her. She called me every name under the sun and said that I was trying to push her out of being a mother to Sophie. None of this made any sense to me. I love Sophie dearly, but I've never tried to be her mother, and this idea was Sophie and Louisa's. I was very hurt by the things she implied about me and my family and didn't even reply to her, but I did forward the messages to Charlie. I didn't think I had any part to play in Rebecca's outburst, but I spoke to my husband about this and he said he sees how Rebecca could be upset. Because when Sophie is around it's obvious how much she looks up to me and wishes she had what Louisa does. He also said that while he loves that my family wants the best for all of us, he could see how it could feel a bit oppressive if you couldn't meet the standard. My husband never says things like this, so since that conversation I've been wondering, am I the idiot? For God's sake, there are some serious cognitive errors on the part of the readers here. OP's daughter brought up going to the boarding school. Then OP's daughter and niece talked about both going. Then OP talked to the brother about it and said that he should talk to his wife about it, which he did, and then the brother's wife flipped out. At no point did OP try and steal away her brother's daughter, and the brother was delighted that his daughter would get to experience something that he did as a child, but couldn't afford to give her the same opportunity. Not the idiot. I can see you were thinking about your niece, and it is very lovely that you would like to do this for her. However, perhaps it would have been better to have all discussed it together. It sounds like you have all made this decision and excluded Rebecca. Whether it was intentional or not. It is very generous of you, but perhaps Rebecca can feel insecure about the difference in wealth. The bottom line was, it didn't occur for anyone to appear to involve Rebecca in any of this. Not the idiot. But it kind of sounds like your brother made this decision without actually asking his wife. If I were in her shoes and I was being told that my child would be living abroad for months at a time, I'd be pretty angry. She shouldn't have taken it out on you though. I'd go and try to talk to her one-on-one. Say something like you don't want to take her daughter from her, and that if she is uncomfortable with this, then you won't go through with it. 2 yes or 1 no. If she's not comfortable, then it's not happening, even if Charlie and Sophie want it to, and it's not up to you to try and change her mind either.